too. Some want the rain to go to Spain, we want the rain to stay. We're rained on and contented on £4 a day. The rain is falling on the site that tees upon the broom. We're sitting on our assholes with bugger all to do. On sites are picks and shovels, lads, they slowly rust away. We're rained on and contented on £4 a day. £4 a day, we lads, and bugger all to do. No trouble from the foreman, he's in the union too. Some want the rain to go to Spain, we want the rain to stay. We're rained on and contented on £4 a day. It's early in the morning, we start at 10 o'clock. We search the skies impatiently, BJ's I felt to drop. The can lids are on bonus and each brew gets better pay. We're rained on and contented on £4 a day. £4 a day, me lads, and bugger all to do. No trouble from the foreman, he's in the union too. Some want the rain to go to Spain, we want the rain to stay. We're rained on and contented on £4 a day. So Freddie, get the cards out, the racing page as well. And as for all the contractors, we hope they go to hell. It looks as if the rain set in, we shan't do much today. What matter if on Friday we all draw our pay? £4 a day, we guys, and bugger all to do. No trouble from the foreman, he's in the union too. So want the rain to go to Spain, we want the rain to stay. We're rained on and contented on £4 a day. Contented on £4 a day.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael Hutkowski.
I'm Joseph Morneau.
And this is the second annual Songs of the Working Class event by the Connecticut General Membership Branch of the IWW. Now, normally, like we did last year, we would have had this in kind of a small hall, bunch of people, pay what you can, and a bunch more performers as well. Sadly, this is 2020, in case you're watching this in the future. And we decided that we're going to still have the event, but what we're going to do is have something more scaled down. So it's just me and Joe. And we're recording this right now, and we're going to be uploading this on the 19th of November, so you can watch this at whatever pace you want, whenever you want. So, before we go on, I'm going to talk about some of the links you're going to see in the description below. The first link is for the IWW itself, the Industrial Workers of the World. If you want to get involved, and you want to organize your workplace, actually have workplace democracy and do the work yourself instead of having some bureaucrat come in from Washington telling you what to do, sign up and read all about the IWW, and I'll talk more about that later on. Another link you'll see one for Joe. Joe is a folk musician, a good friend of mine, and he has a CD out. He's actually in the process of making another one, and he's been so kind to come and help us out with this event, so please, if you want to listen to more of Joe, click on that link and it'll give you information about where to find his music. And finally, the other link is for our friend Benjamin Parker. Benjamin Parker is an origami artist, and a damn good one. Benjamin Parker is a friend of ours, and also he's the person whose studio we're in right now. He's got a little camera set up, and that's allowing us to record this. So please give him some love, and that's a little shout out for him. Now, one of the good things about this event is we can kind of, instead of having a bunch of performers and a loud raucous event, we can take a bit more time to talk about the songs and, you know, kind of curate them the way they are. So the first song we just heard was £4 a day. Joe, if you want to...
£4 a day. That was written by Stan Kelly and Eric Winter sometime, I think, in mid-20th century. I'm not entirely sure one could call it a union song as much as it's a sort of tongue-in-cheek aspect of a bunch of unionized workers realizing that if they get a rainy day, they still get some pay, and they can just play out their cards and check out the racing forums. Great little rompy song, as it were.
Well, it's great, and shows about the benefits of having a union, of course. So, one thing we're going to kind of explore in this bit of a show. Now, we're talking about songs of the working class. These are mostly going to be folk songs, and hopefully, in the years coming, we're going to have more different types of songs by different groups of people. The working class is extremely diverse. But we talk about folk music, and folk music is really working class music, and it has been. It's by the working people, while everyone else was making Baroque or classical or orchestra music, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. This is the music that working people would be listening to. They would be playing. These are the songs they'd be singing. and you break it down in a couple different things. So you have work songs, songs that will be done at work, rhythmic songs that help you get the work done. Sea shanties are kind of a subset of that. You have occupational songs where people are going to sing about their job. They're proud of what they do, their craft, or sometimes kind of how shitty it was. Then you have labor songs. These are songs about actually organizing for better conditions, fighting against the boss and the conditions that people live in. And some folk songs that you'll hear are just folk songs. They are beautiful. Some are romantic, some about life, some about something funny that happened at the pub, because that's also what happens in a working person's life. It's not just what you do from the 9 to 5, or back then it was like 9 to 9. It's about how you live your life. So we're going to go through a couple examples of these different types of songs. So let's go with some working songs first, if you got a few up your sleeve, Joe.
So I'm going to play the concertina for you, developed in the 1830s in England. And this is what they call a capstan shanty, where the men would all get together and put bars in the capstan, the round piece on deck on vessels, where they would then tie a line around it, and then they marched around it. They would do it to a particular stomping go shanty or some other particular melody that they liked, in order to raise the anchor, or sometimes hauling that line in order to raise something particularly heavy, which would then be swung on board ship. So this one's called Away Rio, which is typically an outward bound capstan shanty. I'll sing you a song, a good song of the sea. Away, away, Rio. I'll sing you a song if you sing it with me, and we're bound for the Rio Grande, and it's away,
Away, Rio.
away, away, Rio. It's fairly well, my pretty young girls, we're bound for the Rio Grande. And the good capstan and runner around, away,
Away, Rio.
We'll haul up the anchor to this jolly sound, and we're bound for the Rio Grande, and it's away,
Away, Rio.
away,
Away, Rio.
It's very well, my pretty young girls, and we're bound for the Rio Grande. We've a jolly good ship with a bully good crew, away,
Away, Rio.
A bastard first mate with a rough skipper too, and we're bound for the Rio Grande, and it's away,
Away, Rio.
away,
Away, Rio.
It's very well, my pretty young girls, we're bound for the Rio Grande. Our hold it is filled with tobacco and rum, away,
Away, Rio.
To sell it all off before winter is coming, we're bound for the Rio Grande, and it's away,
Away, Rio.
away,
Away, Rio.
It's fairly well, my pretty young girls, we're bound for the Rio Grande. Then we'll sail her down over the Saybrook bar, away,
Away, Rio.
and point her nose down to the Southern Star, and we're bound for the Rio Grande, and it's away,
Away, Rio.
away,
Away, Rio.
It's very well, my pretty young girls, and we're bound for the Rio Grande. Farewell to Nancy and farewell to Sue, away,
Away, Rio.
and use it our listening farewell to you, and we're bound for the Rio Grande, and it's away,
Away, Rio.
away,
Away, Rio.
It's very well, my pretty young girls, and we're bound for the Rio Grande, and it's away,
Away, Rio.
away,
Away,
Rio.
Rio.
It's very well, my pretty young girls, and we're bound for the Rio Grande. Away, Rio.
So yeah, the next song that I'm going to do is really the backstory of it comes from the American South. Now, of course, in America, our labor relations are very complicated, because there's a certain group of people who did a large amount of the labor of this country and were never paid for it for several hundred years and were returned and given brutality and abuse, and that's slavery. Now, after slavery, after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Bloody Civil War, there was Reconstruction, but Jim Crow set in, and slavery was kind of evolved into something, that's the best way to put it, sharecroppers and tenant farmers, all throughout the South. Now, they weren't all black, some of them were white as well, but through most of the time, they were forced to rent their tools. They didn't own the land. They really had no control over what was going on. And there were a lot of attempts to organize them, specifically in the early part of the 20th century. But again, Jim Crow was there, keeping that racial segregation there, dividing white and black workers. Now, as these progresses worked on, there were different groups. Finally, something kind of struck gold, and it was the STFU, which means, not what you're thinking, the Southern Tenant Farmers Union. This is a union for sharecroppers and tenant farmers, and it really came, there's a couple decades that were building up to this, but it was a lot of communists and socialists stepped in, as well as black and white tenant farmers and sharecroppers. You see, the Agricultural Adjustment Administration was put in during the New Deal. This was, of course, trying to get farmers to not grow crops, whether it's cotton or food, to make sure that the prices can adjust. And they would be paid not to do such. The problem was all the local committees in the South were run by the planter class. These are people whose great-grandpappies were slave owners and plantation owners, and they were totally fine with screwing over the workers, regardless of color. In fact, they tried to fight to make sure that tenant farmers and sharecroppers were actually considered farm workers and therefore couldn't get any of this money. But the Southern Tenant Farmers Union organized, crossed color lines, and was able to make great gains and changes in the next couple of years. One of them was a man named John Hancock, and he wrote this song. You may have heard a version of it. So it's Roll the Union On. We're gonna roll, we're gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on. We're gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll the union on. If the planter's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll it over him, roll it over him. If the planter's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll the union on. We're gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll the union on. We're gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll the union on. If the banker's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll it over him, roll it over him. If the banker's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll the union on. We're gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on. We're gonna roll, gonna roll, gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on. If the copper's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll it over him, roll it over him. If the copper's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll the union on. We're gonna roll, we're gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on. We're gonna roll, we're gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on. If the preacher's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll it over him, roll it over him. If the preacher's in the way, we're gonna roll it over him, roll the union on. We're gonna roll, we're gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on. We're gonna roll, we're gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on. So, there's a reason we're uploading this on November 19th. November 19th, 1915 is the day that Joe Hill, wobbly and songwriter, was executed by the state of Utah, probably for organizing and writing songs, but they framed him on a murder charge. Joe Hill was an immigrant from Sweden. The IWW, which was founded in 1905, was all about workers regardless of where they're from. Doesn't matter if you were an immigrant or your family had been there since Plymouth Rock. Doesn't matter if you were white or black, male or female. You were in the working class. You better be damn proud of it, and you're worth organizing. Now, Joe Hill would take a lot of songs, often popular tunes, and then convert them into something that, as Utah Phillips said, made more sense, but something that was easy. And these were also ways that workers could especially those who are learning English, could learn about the IWW, the principles, and it was a lot easier. It was very catchy and allowed the ideas to catch on. The song we're about to do is called Preacher and the Slave. It's about the free speech fights that happened out west, well, all over the country, but primarily on the West Coast and the Northwest. These were about how there were hiring halls the unions had. These were safer places for workers to go because other hiring halls that were non-union, well, that was rife with exploitation. So they had these hiring halls. They were burnt down. They tried to do everything on the streets, with street corners and soapboxes, and they would get arrested. Even though people like the Salvation Army could sing and dance and do little speeches on the side. So the Wobblies got as many people together who were unemployed to go to places like Missoula and Spokane, and they would speak. They would stand on the corner and speak. A cop would come, drag the person down, another person would take their place. And this would keep going until they filled the jails up. And the towns didn't like it because they were spending all this money on everyone in the jail. They would have to march people down to a local high school to give them showers, and people would give them cigarettes and apples and candy just because they were sympathetic. And then when the cops tried to let everyone go in the mornings because they were required to feed them and give them breakfast and dinner, the arrested workers said, no, we'll stay. And it kept going until it was so expensive that the town just said, let them go, it's not worth the cost. We shouldn't arrest people because of free speech and what they're saying, and we may disagree with it, or because some really wealthy people want it that way. Now, of course, this is a tactic. It was direct action. It worked. Usually when they tried to resolve the free speech fights in the court, they did not work. But this did. Now, granted, I would not immediately suggest this tactic now, or at least not in the way they did it, because, as we know, with the militarization of police and the prison industrial complex, they probably have the capacity to just lock you away and not care. So here is The Preacher and the Slave. Long-haired preachers come out every night, try to tell you what's wrong and what's right, but when asked about something to eat, they will tell you in voices so sweet, you will eat by and by, in that glorious land in the sky, where pious work and pray, live on hay, you'll get pie in the sky when you die. That's a lie. Holy rollers and jumpers come out, and they clap and they scream and they shout, and give your money to Jesus, they say. He will cure all diseases today. You will eat by and by, in that glorious land in the sky, where pious work and pray, live on hay, you'll get pie in the sky when you die. That's a lie. Now the Starvation Army they play, and they clap and they sing and they pray, until they've got all your coins on the drum. Then they'll tell you that you're on the bum. You will eat by and by, in that glorious land in the sky, where pious work and pray, live on hay, you'll get pie in the sky when you die. That's a lie. Now working folk of all countries unite, side by side now for freedom we'll fight, and when this world and its wealth we have gained, to the grafters we'll sing this refrain. You will eat by and by, when you've learned how to cook and how to fry. Now chop some wood, it'll do you good, and you'll be in that sweet by and by. That's no lie. Excellent.
Very good. Wheel of Turning. All right, I learned this from the singing of wonderful Englishman now living over here, John Roberts, English folk singer, banjo and concertina player. How old this particular song is in question. It's believed to probably be mid-19th century. It's called Keep the Wheel a-Turning, and it has everything to do with a particular worker who at first doesn't quite measure up to what the boss wants him to do, but when he's nudged, he kicks into high gear and ends up becoming the star employee until, but because of the wisdom of the employers, this guy worked so hard, made them so much money that too many different goods, too many things available, market slumps, and instead of them saying, well, we kind of screwed up and shifting gears and giving him something else to do, they can his ass. So,
ain't that the truth?
Keep that wheel a turning. A nice young man was William Brown. He worked for wage down in London town. He worked from dawn till late at night, turning a wheel from left to right.
Keep that wheel a turning.
Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning, and do a little more each day. Well, the boss one day to William came, and he said, look here, young, what's your name? We're not content with what you do. Work a little harder or you're through.
Keep that wheel a turning.
Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning, and do a little more each day. So William turned and he made a run, 3 times in the place of 1. He turned so hard he soon was made Lord High Turner of his trade.
Keep that wheel a turning.
Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning, and do a little more each day. Well, the nation heard all the wondrous tale. The news appeared in the sketch in the mail. Railways brought the tourists in, all to look at William spin.
Keep that wheel a turning.
Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning, and do a little more each day. William turned with such a smile. The goods he made grew such a pile. They filled the place, and the room next door overflowed to the basement floor.
Keep that wheel a turning.
Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning, and do a little more each day. But sad the sequel is to tell. He turned out more than the boss could sell. The market slumped and the price went down. In 7 days they sacked young Brown.
Keep that wheel a turning.
Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning, and do a little more each day. Now laborers all don't feel down. There's a moral here from William Brown. If you work too hard, you soon will be wise but poorer, same as he. Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning. Keep that wheel a turning, and do a little more each day.
The song I'm going to do next is the Fraser River. It's based on the tune of the Joe Hill song, based on the tune of where the River Shannon flows, which is an Irish song, or I think maybe a Tin Pan Alley rendition of an Irish song. So the Fraser River is the Fraser River in British Columbia. The Wobblies were really big in a lot of different trades, primarily lumberjacks, and they were organizing a lot of lumberjacks and lumber workers and field workers and hands like that. So this is a song just about getting ready and trying to inspire the workers who are on the Fraser River not to lose hope. Fellow workers, pay attention to what I'm going to mention, for it is the clear contention of the workers of the world that we should all be ready, true-hearted, brave and steady, and to rally round the standard when the Union flag's unfurled. Where the Fraser River flows, each fellow worker knows they have bullied and oppressed us, and still our Union grows. But we're going to find a way, boys, shorter hours and higher pay, boys, and we're going to win the day, boys, where the Fraser River flows. Now these gunny sack contractors, they've all been dirty actors, and they're not our benefactors, each fellow worker knows. So we've got to stick together through tough and dirty weather, and we'll show no white feather where the Fraser River flows. Where the Fraser River flows, each fellow worker knows they have bullied and oppressed us, but still our Union grows. So we've gonna find a way, boys, for shorter hours and higher pay, boys, and we're gonna win the day, boys, where the Fraser River flows. Now the law the boss is stretching, scabs and goons he's fetching, and they're a fine collection, as every worker knows. But how them mothers raise them, and why the devil spares them, these are questions I can't answer where the Fraser River flows. Where the Fraser River flows, each fellow worker knows, they have bullied and oppressed us, but still our union grows. So we're gonna find a way, boys, shorter hours and higher pay, boys, and we're gonna win the day, boys, where the Fraser River flows. So, this is gonna be one of the occupational songs we talked about earlier. So this is it's also a bit of a labor song as well.
Yeah, considering that early 19th century with the Industrial Revolution really kicking in the UK, a lot of concerns about occupational trades like the weavers losing their work to machinery, as it were. So this one was written by David Shaw. He was a Forfar weaver in Scotland, and he composed a song sometime in the 1840s and would perform it at the various Chartists meetings they used to have. And we get it through a book called Victoria's Inferno, but it's still something that's pretty popular over in Scotland when it comes to any kind of a union-style song. So, song known as Work of the Weavers. We've all met together for to sit and a crack, with our glasses in our hands and our work upon our back. There's not a trade among them that can mend or can mack, if it wasn't a for the work of the weavers. If it wasn't a for the weavers, what would you do? You wouldn't have had your coat that's made of wool. You wouldn't have your coat all the black or the blue, if it wasn't a for the work of the weavers. There's soldiers and the sailors and glaziers and all, there's doctors and there's ministers and them it works the law, and our friends in South America, though them we never saw, but we know that we're the work of the weavers. If it wasn't for the weavers, what would you do? You wouldn't have your clothes that's made of wool. You wouldn't have your coat or the black or the blue, if it wasn't for the work of the weavers. There's folks that's independent of other tradesmen's work, for women need no barbers and dikers need no clerk, but none of them can do without a coat or a shirt. No, they cannot lack the work of the weavers. If it wasn't for the weavers, what would you do? You wouldn't have your coat that's made of wool. You wouldn't have your coat or the black or the blue, if it wasn't for the work of the weavers. Weaving is a trade what never can fail, as long as we need clothes for to keep another hail. So let us all be merry over a pitcher of good ale, and we'll drink to the health of the weavers. If it wasn't for the weavers, what would you do? You wouldn't have your coat that's made of wool. You wouldn't have your coat or the black or the blue, if it wasn't for the work of the weavers. If it wasn't for the weavers, what would you do? You wouldn't have your coat that's made of wool. You wouldn't have your coat or the black or the blue, if it wasn't for the work of the weavers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For those interested, that little box he's squeezing on is called a concertina. Kids, if you really want to know your parents, get a concertina.
Get one of these.
These two songs that have been coming up are anti-war songs to a degree. These are Joe Hill songs, of course. Now, the first one is called Stung. It's to a tune called Sunlight. It's really about how the Navy would often advertise one thing and say, oh, you're going to go out, you can see the world, it's going to be beautiful, beautiful, you know, copper-skinned ladies that are going to love you, and you're going to sail in the Great White Fleet around the world, and then it's not what you think of it, and you'd be kind of screwed over. Of course, clearly, as we know, the U.S. Navy, or the military, would never, ever continue lying to young, impressionable men with promises of gold and glory and riches, and, you know, a good time. They would never keep doing that at all. So, this is about the Navy, this song. As I was hiking round the town to find a job one day, I saw a sign 1,000,000 men were wanted right away to take a trip around the world in Uncle Sammy's fleet. So I signed my name a dozen times on a great big sheet. I was stung right, S-T-U-N-G. Stung right, easy mark, that's me. When the term is over, and once again I'm free, there'll be no more trips around this world for me. Ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The man, he said, the U.S. fleet, it is no place for slaves. The only thing you have to do is stand and watch the waves. And then one morning, 5 o'clock, they woke me from my snooze to polish, brush, and clean the deck and shine the captain's shoes. I was stung right, S-T-U-N-G. Stung right, easy mark, that's me. When the term is over, and once again I'm free, there'll be no more trips around this world for me. Ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Some time ago, Uncle Sam, he had a war with Spain, and many of the boys in blue were in the battle slain. Not all were killed by bullets, though, not by any means. The biggest part, if I recall, were killed by armors, pork and beans. I was stung right, S-T-U-N-G. Stung right, easy mark, that's me. When the term is over, and once again I'm free, there'll be no more trips around this world for me. For I was stung right, S-T-U-N-G. Stung right, easy mark, that's me. When the term is over, and once again I'm free, there'll be no more trips around this world for me. It's a fun little song. A lot of these songs are very fun, have a really great tune, really catchy. Hopefully they're catchy, hopefully you're singing along, or you've just panicked and shut everything off.
What do you got next?
So next up is Should I Ever Be a Soldier? So Should I Ever Be a Soldier is pretty much that. There's a phrase we use in the IWW, no war but the class war. Now this doesn't mean that all other issues don't matter. Race is still an issue. Sexuality and gender relations are still an issue. People who are trans are treated terribly in many parts of the world, sometimes even parts of this country. What no war with the class war is implying was, especially around World War I, which the Wobblies were very much opposed to even before the U.S. even thought about getting in, was that the people who are on the front being thrown into this battle have more to do with the other people being thrown into the battle than the people giving the orders. About no war but the class war. The big struggle should really be between those who are exploited and beaten, regardless of class or race or anything, against those who are doing the oppressing. So this song kind of hints on that and tries to inspire people and kind of blow away that fake patriotism that they try to pull you into. We're spending billions every year on guns and ammunition, our army and our navy dear, to keep in good condition. While millions live in slavery, and millions died before us. Don't sing my country, 'tis of thee, but sing this little chorus. Should I ever be a soldier, 'neath the red flag I would fight. Should a gun I ever shoulder, it's to crush the tyrant's might. Join the army of the toilers, men and women fall in line. Wage slaves of the world unite, do your duty for your rightful land and liberty. How many a maiden pure and fair her love and pride must offer on Mammon's altar in despair to feed the master's coffers. The gold that builds the mighty fleet from tender youth he squeezes, and brawny men must walk the street to face the wintry breezes. Should I ever be a soldier, 'neath the red flag I would fight. Should a gun I ever shoulder, it's to crush the tyrant's might. Join the army of the toilers, men and women fall in line. Wage slaves of the world unite, do your duty for your rightful land and liberty. Why do they build their Gatling guns so far away from ocean, where hostile fleets could never sail? Ain't that a funny notion? If you don't know the reason why, well, just strike for better wages. And then, my friend, if you don't die, we'll sing this song for ages. Should I ever be a soldier, 'neath the red flag I would fight. Should a gun I ever shoulder, it's to crush the tyrant's might. Join the army of the toilers, men and women fall in line. Wage slaves, the world unite, do your duty for your right to land and liberty. Hey everyone. So, right now Joe's in a little break, lunch break. So, this is where I'm going to take a little opportunity to talk about one of the reasons we do this. We did this originally as a fundraiser, kind of a pay what you can event. And that's kind of what we're still doing now. You see, if you want to get involved with the IWW, one of the best ways is join up. And again, the link below is going to be one of the best ways to do that. And sign up, and the GHQ will hopefully get you in contact with a nearby branch. And if you're in Connecticut, well, you'll be talking to me or some of the other branch secretary-treasurers. Another way you can help is, well, donate some money. Now, we're not a charity. We are a union, we organize. We try to get the workers on the job to organize. And we run things democratically. Our branch has elections every year. We vote every meeting on the issues that's going on hand. The union as a whole has a convention and then a massive ballot that we all vote on. You're not going to be taking orders from some jerk in Washington. You're not going to be spending your money on lobbying for politicians who are just going to give you breadcrumbs. You're going to be supporting workers who are organizing and learning how to do that on their own work job site. So we're setting up our own Solidarity Fund. That is for workers who are in Connecticut and are members of our union who are organizing their workplace. They might get fired if they're found out by their boss. Now granted, that's illegal, but they're going to need some help. Therefore, having a Solidarity Fund gives them a little boost, helps them while they bounce back. And also, even if the workplace campaign is going great and these take a while, say the workers get up, they go public in front of the boss, and the boss doesn't really want to go to their demands, and they have to strike. Striking is scary. It's really scary. But it's less scary when you know you have a union that has your back and you have solidarities to fall back on with resources. So, if you are interested in helping in that cause, please do not hesitate to donate. We are going to have our Google Pay information down below. And when you donate the money, no matter how small it is, please just say Solidarity Fund in the message so we know to put that money aside for our Solidarity Fund and put that in there. Now, again, 2020 is a tough year. There are countless people who are in lines for food. There are countless people who have lost their health care. Countless people who are losing their jobs and aren't getting unemployment insurance. So if that dollar you might think about donating might go better for helping you make it to the next day, please, you keep that money. We'll find a way. I don't want to take anyone's money, and I don't think the union wants to take anyone's money from someone who's struggling. That's not how we're going to work. But if you can throw a couple dollars, pay what you can. Thank you very much for that. Now, some of you may notice there's a bit of a theme here, kind of an underlying critical of religion theme. It's not really. There's a critical take on preachers, for instance. This was more of in reaction to established preachers and some people in established religion who continue to put the workers down, and sadly that's still the case somewhere. This was not out of a rejection of Christianity or some atheistic agenda at all. In fact, a lot of the Wobblies and took from hobo culture the term Jerusalem Slim to revert to Jesus Christ. So there was always a bit of a tongue-in-cheek nature. For instance, with Preacher and Slave is more of why are the Salvation Army allowed to do stuff and not us. And the idea that maybe we should work to make the world better now and not wait until rewards in the hereafter. So Here's a song by T-Bone Slim, and it's called The Lumberjack's Prayer. I pray, dear Lord, for Jesus' sake, give us this day our T-bone steak. Hallowed be thy holy name, and don't forget to send the same. Oh, hear my humble cry, O Lord, and send us down some decent board, brown gravy and some German fried, and sliced tomatoes on the side. Oh, hear me now, almighty host, I quite forgot the quail on toast. And let your kindly heart be stirred, and stuff some oysters in that bird. I'm asking you on bended legs, give us this day our ham and eggs. And if thou havest custard pies, I'd like, dear Lord, the largest size. O Lord, we know your holy wish, on Fridays we must have a fish. Our flesh is weak and spirit stale, you better make that fish a whale. Oh, hear me, Lord, remove these dogs, these sausages of powdered logs. Your bold beef hash and bearded sprouts, take them to hell or thereabouts. With alum bread and pressed beef butts, dear Lord, you damn near ruined my guts. Your whitewash milk and oleoream, I'd wish to Christ I'd never seen. Oh, hear me, Lord, I'm praying still, but if you won't, the union will put pork chops on the bill of fare, and starve no workers anywhere. Amen.
There once was a union maid who never was afraid of the goons and the ginks and the company peaks and the deputy sheriffs who made the raid. She went to the union hall when the meeting it was called, and when the company guards came round, she always stood her ground. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. This union maid was wise to the tricks of the company spies. She couldn't be fooled by the company stool. She always organized the guys. She always got her way. When she asked for better pay, she showed a guard to the company guard, and this is what she'd say. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. Women, if you want to be free, just take a little tip from me. Join your hand and take a stand and work for liberty. Sarah Gunning showed the way to work for higher pay. She had to fight to win her right, and this is what she'd say. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die.
Very nice, thank you. Once again, thank you to Joseph. Thank you to Ben for studio. Their links are in the bottom to check out their places. And also, if you are interested in joining the union, we've got links to the IWW below. So this last song, some of you may know that on May Day we did put up a little interview that we had with Steve Thronton, who's a historian here in Connecticut, labor historian, and was a former union organizer. And he asked, hey, if you could go out with Solidarity Forever. Now, sadly, I couldn't edit it together then, but this is going to be the last song of the night. This is, again, a song. This is actually not by Joe Hill. It's by Ralph W. Chaplin. And it's to the tune of, well, John Brown's Body, which gives it this long story. Again, a lot of these folk songs, the tune carries on. John Brown's body started, John Brown's body lies a-mouldering in the grave. And that was a big abolitionist song, which transformed into Battle Hymn of the Republic. And, of course, there's been, Blood on the Risers was a military version in the 20th century. But this is that Union version from the Wobblies, and it's a continuation of that struggle for justice. So... When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there shall be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. What force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Is there aught we hold in common with the greedy parasite who would lash us into serfdom and crush us with his might? Is there anything left for us but to organize and fight? For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Who is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad laid? We stand outcast and starving amidst the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, but the union makes us strong. All the world that's owned by idle drones is ours and ours alone. We have laid the foundations, built it skyward stone by stone. It is ours not to thrive in, but to master and to own, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, but the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions, which have never toiled to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel to turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, but the union makes us strong. Thank you, and good night or good day, and just stay safe out there.